Welcome back to the Witch's Way podcast. I'm Kat.
And I'm Jayme. And tonight we are going over, talking about, and discussing the magic of the Yule season. It's the Yule celebration.
Yes. Yule celebration.
Yule celebration.
Love this. I'm so into it this year.
Are you?
Like last year, I didn't put up any decorations.
Dang.
And this year, I even have Christmas lights outside.
Oh, you did? I mean,
in my goddess circle.
Yes, in the back. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm like, I'm so into it.
She's in it.
I'm all in it this year.
So what do you think about the Christmas lights thing then? Because we were sort of talking about this earlier with Yule and Christmas lights being what?
They're modern day candles.
Candles.
They're modern day candles.
Electricity is the modern day candle.
Electricity is a modern day candle.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. I would still consider it fire energy, right?
Absolutely.
Like a candle, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you even wanted to get more fiery, you could use red candles. You know, if you wanted to be like, and I'm looking out my back window and I see a string of Christmas lights.
You've got red.
And I've got red.
Oh, and what she has, you guys, she has the old looking bulbs, you know, like the
big, yeah.
The 1900s bulbs, which sounds weird to say because that
is my Christmas lights?
Yeah, they're the 1900s style bulbs, which, you know, is only the 1990s.
Okay.
But when you say 1900s, it just feels
it feels
old.
like it should, like 1800s. It feels like that long ago.
You know, it's a long time ago now. Over 25 years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's true.
Technically 27 once we hit next year.
Quarter of a century.
Holy shit.
We're not getting any younger, which is...
We got to get off that topic because all of a sudden we just got really old on our podcast. So, you know, when I write these podcasts and I think about things, this is year 5, you guys. Our first... And I think I've been going through this a lot this year. It just feels monumentous that we've been on YouTube for 5 years. That just feels kind of crazy also. But now we have the podcast. So our podcast is only, we started in 2024, the end of 2024.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We're
2024 into 2025. We're about to be in
69. So this is podcast 69.
69. Yeah. Yep. And we're just at the end of 2025. And it just feels a little bit crazy to think about how long we've been doing stuff like this and how many times we've celebrated Yule online with witches and talked about it. And so at year 5 of doing this, I have to say I might be a little bit depleted in talking about the same old things. You know, whereas in the beginning, I really geared towards like new witches and maybe somebody knowing not a single thing about it. But I don't believe that about you guys now. I think that the world is so full of information. I think we all know a little something about the holidays if you're a witch and you're into the world, and like maybe you're not deep into everything, and that's okay. We don't need to be balls deep in everything, okay? That is exhausting. But when you find certain things and you hit on them, it sparks something. So I have to tell you, for me this year, social media, man, it gets me every time. Because when I was becoming a witch, I had nothing. I had no influence. I had no people. I barely had books. There was not enough. There was nothing.
It was the 19th century when that.
It was the 19th century when I was learning witchcraft. So it was so long ago. It was dial-up computers and all the things. Dial-up computers, dial-up internet.
Dial-up internet, yeah. Dial-up internet.
And the page loaded like this. And like another section. Terrible. Even books, you know, I was able to actually download some online books, but there weren't like websites with pretty graphics and all the things. It was just words that you got. And so that's where a lot of my early education came from. So now here I am going on almost 30 years later and looking at stuff on Instagram, and I'm thinking, I really love it when witches have this whole thing. What I wish I knew before I started, you know, before I began my witchcraft journey. And I'm like, yeah, what I wish nobody had to see before they started their witchcraft journey. It's so fucking overwhelming now. But to go back, the hammer, what is it? The nail on the head? The hammer on the nail?
The nail in the coffin?
Oh, shit. That was, nope. To hit the nail on the head.
The nail on the head. Oh, okay.
I did have it almost right. Looking at Instagram and seeing the overwhelm and the things that people talk about, and just, I'm not even going to call it misinformation. It's just information. It's a lot of information. And there's been this new thing, especially in the last year, that is called the 12 Nights of Yule. And I'm like, I've been practicing witchcraft almost 30 years. There's never been 12 Nights of Yule.
I didn't know there. I actually, well, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Have you heard of it? Is it new to you too?
Well, I know the 12 Nights of Christmas, but I've never heard it called the 12 Nights of Yule. And I actually have seen. Not. I bet you witches have seen the video where that's going around, or the reel or TikTok or whatever that's going around about a witch said, "Here's what I do for the 12 Nights of Yule." She writes 12 wishes for the next year, and on each of the 12 nights she burns one of those wishes. She picks them out of a bowl, so randomly, and then the one that's left at the end is the one that is your responsibility or your goal or something for the next year, whatever that is. And I was like,
I have not seen that video.
Oh, well, she's not on social media much.
Well, I'm not on TikTok for sure.
Definitely not on TikTok. But I bet some of our witch friends have seen it. I'm 100% certain about that.
Well, and I guess that's what brings me to this this point of, talking about Yule for this year, is that, like all things, witchcraft is going to evolve. It's going to evolve because there's social media. It's going to evolve because there's different minds putting into it. It is not just, when it started as Wicca so long ago, because that was truly the resurgence of witchcraft in America, was the Wicca movement from Gerald Gardner, which then spun off into many other different things. But we can sort of credit Gerald Gardner with bringing it to the American shores and really starting something here that gave people an idea of that, even though that was sort of a secret closed society sort of thing, and all the things that went on with him. And we're not Wicca just at all, because Wicca is about rules and following hierarchies, which we are anti-hierarchies.
Yes, we're against. Well, we're against
your
rules.
Own path. We're against rules.
We don't want. If we wanted rules, we'd be Catholic or something.
It's just we really like the idea that witchcraft is about following your own path and making it your own. So you're following your own path and you're making it your own. But we cannot deny the external influences. And so when these popular things come up on social media, I'm always like, okay, does this have any basis in old world anything? So of course I had to go and research a lot of this shit.
Old world traditions.
Where did it come from? Who started it? Where did this go? And to cut to the chase, the 12 Nights of Yule is just a modern rendition of putting onto something else from something else from something else from something else. So could you possibly base anything that you see about the 12 Nights of Yule into something else? Yes, maybe, possibly. There's remnants of that, right? It's like you go into the kitchen and there's cookie crumbs and you're like, somebody probably baked cookies in here, but you have no idea what they baked and who. So there's lots of missing elements, which leaves room for interpretation, which leaves room for all of us to make it our own. So there's a beautiful thing about this.
Adopt it and refine it for your own.
For yourself.
To make it your own. To do it in your own way. What your life is like right now at this point of time, because it will change over time.
It always changes.
Always changing.
So with the 12 Nights of Yule, which is sort of this new thing within witchcraft and Yule, on one hand, I really want to tell you guys, no, this is not some ancient practice, blah, 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 blah. But there was something similar to what you could say the 12 Nights of Yule is that Yule as a season, we always talk about the holidays are not a day. For some reason, our modern world, we're allowed to celebrate things for one fucking 24-hour period. That's it. That's all you get. There's no expansive time. And seasons are not happening in one day. They happen expansively over a time, and then they blend into another season, and then they blend and blend and blend. There's not this just 24 hours, one day, it is December 21st, and that's the only day. Now, astronomically, when we're talking about solstices and equinoxes, they actually do happen at a specific point in time, because that's when everything shifts and then the balance is regaining. But when we celebrated the season of it, which is what Yule is the winter solstice. We're celebrating that season of solstice. That shit could last from 3 days to 2 weeks to whoever. Every population decided that they were going to handle it in a different way, and with different celebrations and through different changes and to do different stuff. So I am not knocking the 12 Nights of Yule, even though it's a very new rendition to celebrating Yule. If you love it, go with it. If you want to make your own, go with it. But there's nothing that you have to research and look at, how did the ancients used to do this and what happened, blah, blah. There is none of that. This is just another example of how we take are older practices or things that we've heard about. We don't even know the real history because we can't know, right? Because it's not written down. It's passed down through word of mouth. And we have no idea how things changed. But we're taking an idea and then we're making it our own. And we're being like, I feel this. I like this. This suits me this year. You don't even have to do it every single year. You can do it this year, maybe next year, and then be like, I'm going to leave that behind now. With the 12 days of Christmas, that shit came out in the 1700s. So that has been something that's been around a long time. And I can understand where we connected these two things together. Like, why not, right? Why not have, if Christians have the 12 days of Christmas, why can't witches have the 12 nights of Yule? It seems very fitting for us to sort of reclaim that.
Yeah, especially the night. You know? Especially I think it should be 13.
I love 13. It's such a lucky number. So it could have been it could have been anything, but I do see how, people might have caught on to this thing and been like, I'm going to do a witchcraft version of this.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. So if you've been seeing the 12 Nights of Yule and you're like, what is this new tradition thing coming out? Like, I just love that because we can just build these things out of nowhere. And that's how traditions really are built, is that you decide that you're going to do something that feels right for you, and then you just do it. And you don't ask questions. You're like, I'm starting this thing. I don't care who agrees with it or who doesn't. And then you just go forth.
It's your tradition.
It's your tradition. You built it. You do what you want with it. You take ideas from lots of other places, but you just do the thing that you want to do. So what I guess I feel like it's a rant a little bit, because it was a rant, wasn't it? It's a rant.
Tiny rant.
The 12 Nights of Yule and what that is actually based on, going back to that Yule is more of a Germanic, right? So it's in that older country. It's not necessarily European where we think of like the British Isles. This is Germany, and this is where Yule comes from, and that they celebrated their winter season, their solstice time over many days. Some communities did it for 3 days, some did it for 12, 15, 2 weeks. But you have to think about why. This is what I love.
I was just thinking, as you were saying that, I'm like, there's a reason why that was the way, because their lives were so much different.
They were so much different.
Than our lives are.
12 days and do something.
Yeah, they're so much different than what our lives are today. So yeah, it
allowed different community members to participate in things over a longer period of time, rather than saying we have one day to do this thing and whoever doesn't get to do it doesn't get to do it. Like, you just miss out. Imagine all the people who actually work on holidays, Mm-hmm. So one of the traditions that we had growing up is that on Christmas we usually went and saw a movie in the evening. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. Yeah.
That was something that we did as a family. I don't know why the hell movie theaters were open on Christmas.
A lot of people did that, though. This was like the 90s.
Yeah.
And
the 1900s.
And the theaters were packed on Christmas night.
Always.
But we always did
saw
that. Yeah,
a movie
we did.
on Christmas Day in the evening.
And I love that. I haven't done that in years.
Yeah.
I haven't done that in years.
I don't even know if they're still open. But so you have these. In our modern world, you do have the dates where it really holds us to like a certain amount of time. And I think in the world when time was a little bit more blended, where nothing was really done in one day, or it didn't have to be, or nobody held you to like, you got 24 hours to celebrate this holiday, and then that's it, your day is over. We
weren't looking at our Apple watches being like, gotta go. It's almost midnight.
It's finally this day. Now let's celebrate, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to get into the fact that calendars back then were a fucking mess all across the world. With the Gregorian calendar and the way that we've modernized things, and then having time zones and shit, that is so modern. That was not around back then. Everybody just did whatever they wanted to do. And when you moved into a new country or land, you were going, whoa, this is like a whole new world, new planet.
Well, if you think about it, their whole lives were dictated by how much light did they have, because when the sun went down, they were inside because there were no street lights. There was only moonlight, and if there was no moon, it was pitch black out there.
That's right.
So there was nothing, they were inside. So they just had from the time the sun came up till so their days were like super short.
So short. And then more north you go, because we are close to the equator, thank goodness. We are Florida witches. We are close to the equator, so our days are not as short. They're still way too short for us. We don't like them. That's still terrible.
It's dark really early.
5:30 sun setting. You're like,
it feels like 6:30's bedtime.
It does, absolutely. An hour after the sun goes down, it's like time for bed, because we're used to that being like 9:30.
Yeah.
So it is quite weird. But I will say that with the winter traditions, and celebrating the solstice, there are many themes that you can't, that modern times can't get away from. So we can create new traditions, but the one thing that we can't do is change the way the planets and the sun all interact with each other. So we are going to have the light that fades and then the light that returns, because that's what the solstice is really about. The sun, we get to a tipping point with our Earth where we have leaned back all the way as far as we can possibly go during our rotation, during our tilt. And so the northern hemisphere, we're as far away from the sun as we could possibly get. And on December 21st, 22nd, maybe 20th sometimes, guess what happens? The Earth is like, and I'm leaning back towards the sun. And that's the return of the light. So that's what's happening, like science-wise in the universe as we get this return of light. And people experience this in different ways, but you just can't deny that the whole solstice point was the returning of the sun. They knew that from that point on, days were getting longer. And we're only like, 5 days away from that.
Yeah.
We are
really?
like 5. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's the 18th today when we're recording.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So, I mean, it's interesting.
Yeah, next week. Right?
Yeah.
So next week?
Well, if it's the 18th, technically it's like 3 days away if it's the 21st. So I say 5, but I feel like there's sort of this liminal period where you can't really tell that it's happened yet. And then all of a sudden you gain a minute every day. A minute. So if you look at your, like if you have an app, which I do for tracking the sun and the moon and like sunrise, moonrise, all that, you'll see that every day it's like a minute and a minute and a minute. And you're gaining in time for the sun setting, or rising, depending on what you're looking at. But that was something that we cannot really escape, is that is always going to be a constant. That is what actually dictates this holiday. The solstice and the returning of the light is what we're really celebrating during this time. It's the longest night. It is the time when the sun is, the Earth is the furthest lean back away from the sun. Because I was going to say the sun's the furthest from the Earth, but that's not quite true, science-wise. And then we're leaning back into the light. So the solstice is all about returning, the light returning. So one thing that I love from mythology that I don't know a ton about, but you can always look it up, is that there's this thing about the wild hunt, and it exists in multiple different cultures, but that there's all these like spirits or gods or chariots flying through the sky during this time, that if you're like out at night, they are ready to gather you up, like collect your soul, eat you. The new thing now is like there's a Yule cat. That's one that I've seen. Have you seen the fucking Yule cat? It's supposed to eat you if you don't have your winter clothes on. I'm like,
what?
Yeah, some culture out there that's just a new thing brought to light, that there was a superstition around there's a Yule cat that will consume you if you're outside and you don't have your new winter clothes on. And there's morals to these stories, right? They create these stories for kids and people who aren't doing what they're supposed to do, and it's like, you're gonna get what's coming to you if you don't wear your jacket outside or whatever. So
that's what the wild hunt is?
No, that's just a different one. The wild hunt is much older than that.
Okay.
So the wild hunt is all about how, and depending on what culture you're looking into, there's gods, only gods, it's male, it's predominantly male, gods and beasts, sometimes of the underworld, sometimes of the heavens, Olympians, whatever, flying through the sky, and they're looking for people that are out doing what they're not supposed to be doing. And they will scoop you up and basically take you to Hades. That's sort of the thing. So you're supposed to be able to hear them riding through the sky, like the hooves coming through the night sky. So it's supposed to be this scary thing, which if you think about hooves riding through the night sky, who else does that?
Reindeer, Santa
Claus.
Yeah.
So I love how these myths sort of tie into also the modern times. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So the other thing, so there's that wild hunt where it's like, don't be outside at night, because obviously it's dangerous. It's the coldest of the nights. You don't want people to die. You're trying to protect your community. So you have to create myths around this to keep people inside and not wandering, like young teenage boys probably. But then there's also the protection from the winter and the darkness that people are doing. So Yule is a big protection time, which comes from, okay, we've got gods riding through the sky trying to eat your soul, and we've got the winter trying to kill you, like stay inside. So protection is a heavy theme in Yule. And then it's the coming of the year, which does coincide with our modern day, because we have New Year's, a week later? A week and a half later? Yeah. So.
Yep.
With the winter hunt connection. I know. So I didn't, this was more going to be a chat about Yule. There's not really like a whole script written for everything.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a lot of Jayme talking, actually, because
probably
she put all this stuff together, and I don't really know what's going on. I'm just going to sit here. I'm just going to sit here and sip my tea and look cute, and keep fucking with my hair and shit.
Don't. Listen, my bangs are not behaving today, and I don't want to fuck with them. I'm trying not to even look at it. I think the wild hunt... We did talk about this last year a little bit. I know it's been a year, and we've had a long year, and
it's been a long year.
It's been a long year.
Yeah.
There's many times throughout the witchcraft legends, because they do not all come from the same culture. If you're celebrating the 8, I'm going to say the word that I don't like to say, but Sabbaths, right? So Llewellyn's essential Sabbaths. If you're celebrating the 8 witches holidays, all 8 holidays did not come from the same culture. No one culture celebrated all of the 8 holidays as we see them today. We just have all the knowledge together now where we can see the changing, and they've created names and they've taken them from there's like 3 different cultures that they brought the names in from. So you've got, Celtic, Germanic, and then there was like one that has one, and I don't remember. But when we talk about the wild hunt and sort of like how these things get conveyed into... We're trying to pull from ancient traditions. We're trying to look at stories that kept people safe, that gave our existence more meaning. The wild hunt is a big one because it's another time when the veil supposedly thins, when you can get that interaction with spirit, with gods. It could be malevolent or benevolent. And this is just one of the cultures that believed this was a time when they could sort of see right into you, which really reminds me of Santa's whole thing is like, he sees when you're awake or sleeping. He knows if you've been bad or good. Mm-hmm. So this is another sort of peering into and understanding what the human world is doing as a god, like sort of canvassing the landscape of like, what are the humans up to, Like they know. They're looking, they're watching, they're above us, they're wherever. But the veil is thin again at Yule in some cultures. And we don't ever think that. Like for me, it's
always Samhain.
It's always Samhain.
I never really think of the veil thinning at Yule.
Well, that's part of that. If you were looking at how they built the 12 Nights of Yule, that would be one of the beliefs that sort of goes into that is it is a thinning time. It is when gods and goddesses could come through where people could get sort of soul snatched. I don't even know if they have a true term for that. It's not like it happens, but the myth of it to give people a moral to a story of like, don't do bad shit and you won't get got, right? Like, don't be out there being a hoodlum in the snow and you're going to be okay. So Odin...
Yep.
Odin from like the tree and the runes and all of that. Yep. Odin was, in one culture, the god who rode through the sky. And this has actually been put into movies and TV shows where he has this chariot that rides through the sky with all of his monsters and creatures and kind of doing shit. Because he's not a malevolent god to the humans. He's like... I'll do what I want. Like, you guys exist, but I do what I want. So he's not one of those, like, kind gods who's trying to help you and, like, lead you along. That's not him. He is out for himself as well. And if he can collect a soul, he's like, snack time. So he's looking for people that aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. And he will send a beast down to grab you or something else that kind of, like, snatches up the soul. And, they don't really say exactly what happens with the soul. They're just like, now you're part of his... carriage riding through the sky.
Well,
maybe you could turn into a beast.
You're not at home with your family, being protected and honoring your ancestors and practicing divination like everybody else is.
So you're
inside, so you're out doing mischievous stuff and
probably you're breaking the rules. Mm-hmm. So this goes along with when you stay inside and you gather around a hearth fire. And you are talking and telling stories. This is bringing, if you think about the warning, it's like keeping families together rather than letting people go off and wander and do whatever they want and, be mischievous. And I kind of think that's, I'm not sure if I ever told you about my friend in the Navy named Nasankla, who was Thai, and her dad was Thai.
I don't think so.
So...
Not sound familiar anyway.
She's from Thailand. Her father was part of the Thai Navy, and there was like this whole program. And so she got into the U.S. Navy. But I loved her stories because in Thailand, and I know very little of Thai culture, you guys, just so you know. But she was my good friend for 2 years, and she told me about one of their stories for seasons, and it was that there was this floating head wandering around outside of kids' windows, and if they were up at night from their bed, the head could take your head off and then absorb your body. Like, that was their terrifying story of, like, why you should stay in bed at night.
Is that to keep children in bed so that they weren't, like, sneaking out trying to see what was being put under the Christmas tree and what the parents were up to?
Well, I don't know. I don't think they had a Christmas technically, but it was one of their stories to keep children, like, doing good, like, be in your place, do what you're supposed to do, or this headless person's going to come in and snatch your body from you. I was like, that would
terrify me. I would be hiding under the blankets.
In the Thai culture, they have, like, thousands of gods that do lots of different things, so it's very interesting. But that one stuck with me, just because I always pictured, like, the headless thing outside the window going,
oh, God.
You know? Not headless, I'm sorry, bodiless. It was a floating head. It had no body.
Yeah.
And it wanted your body.
That's too reminiscent of the crawling hand for me to be. That was my terror. My childhood terror was a movie it's a black and white movie with a hand that crawled around. It was just a hand. Anyway.
Well, one of the things we mentioned before is that when you think about the 12 Nights of Yule and having any legitimacy, if we want to really claim that, because I'm a sciencey witch, I really like to find things that are rooted in fact before I just go believe them. I research everything. That's harder to do because calendars from way back when are a mess. No, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to believe that I'm 90% right. Nobody in the world all had the same calendar. Everybody was operating from different calendars because you had different rulers, you had different dates that were important, you had different ways of doing the years, and only in the last probably 150 years, I don't even know when we got the calendar that brought a lot of the world together. Even when I lived in Japan, they had a different calendar. China has a different calendar. Like, you think about the masses
the Julian
of the
calendar that
Julian and Gregorian
that we finally like adopted, the Julian calendar.
Earlier I said Gregorian. Is that the old one? The Julian calendar is now.
I think that's it. Yeah.
So that's why it would be harder to prove that these things happened and why we should just not care about that. Like, I try to tell myself, Jayme, don't get caught up in the fine minutia and the facts of things like this needed to be practiced 300 years ago in order for me to believe it or practice in it. Just find what's useful for me, absorb that into my practice, do what I want with it, like make it my own. I don't need to say, I do this in the name of the, 16th century, blah, blah, blah. We don't need to do that. The beautiful thing about witchcraft is that when you hear about something that really can work for you, just try it out and build that into your practice in some way that feels meaningful. There are no rules. There are no really right and wrongs within witchcraft. So if you like something, do it. And if you don't do it. It's as easy as that. Like, that's the rule, if there was a rule, right?
I think
so.
If there was a non-rule, that would be it. Do what you want. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do what resonates. Do what vibes with you. Yeah. Do what you connect with, whatever it is. Yeah. Because this is a practice that we get to pick and choose the things that we want to practice, and that we want to say, this is my practice. And just because everybody's doing
something else,
veiling or egg cleansing or whatever, it doesn't mean that has to be part of your practice if it's not something that you connect with. And I think that's something to just remember, especially when you're newer, because there is so much information out there. Mm-hmm. It can feel really overwhelming, but all of that stuff is not you got to do all these things or you're not a witch.
Yeah. It's a really important thing to say that for new witches, with the overload of information, finding what suits you and leaving the rest, and not feeling like you have to do something.
Yeah.
I guess that's the reason why I do feel so lucky to have started witchcraft so long ago. I never felt like there were things that I had to do. It was just like information that was out there, and nobody was going, this is how you become a witch. 12 things to do for this, and like all the to-do lists that we have now. And I can't even lie, Kat and I create things like this for new witches to try to simplify it in a world that's overloaded with shit, with so much more to do. I'm like, gosh, can we make it simple for new witches? Can we make it simple for witches coming back to this practice? Can we make it simple for people who, have a strong aversion towards religion? Because we get caught up in those feelings.
Yeah, and I think not just simple, but also something that you truly feel, like you're drawn to it.
Yeah.
so even the list that we make to simplify of all of those things, I think you really have to follow, like, what is your soul telling you? You know, what's inside, and if you're not drawn to something, you can leave that and maybe visit it at another time.
Yeah.
So super messy calendars, and so now are we on to the Christianization, blending traditions?
Well, yeah, I kind of spoke on this earlier, but the 12 days of Christmas, which I've seen I had to do research on this because I don't know what the 12 days of Christmas are, and I don't understand them.
I only remember we used to sing a song about the 12 days of Christmas when I was young, but I don't remember it now. I wouldn't be able to remember
it's all about birds. I did learn that.
Is it the partridge in a pear tree
it is.
thing?
There's a partridge in a pear tree, and there's lots of other bird things. So there's definitely
on the first day of Christmas,
swimming
my true love said to me, something like that. Yeah, it's a song. Yeah. Oh my God, it's going to come back to me, and I'm going to start singing for you guys. You're welcome.
Well, I think what's really interesting when I looked into the 12 days of Christmas, because I truly didn't know what it was. I knew there was a song, but so that's a real thing. There are 12 days of Christmas. It is not the days before Christmas. It is 12 days after the Christmas season.
Is it really?
It is. That's how it started.
I don't remember that. Yeah, I know. Right? Like, you would think it would be leading up to it.
It doesn't mean that in the last 100 years we haven't treated it like the 12 days before Christmas, because everybody's singing the song and doing.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember how the song
Christmas, and what do you do?
Culminates at the end. What happens on the 12th day? But I don't remember. And you guys are really lucky that I don't remember, because I would totally sing it for you right now.
She'd sing the entire song.
I would sing the whole thing, and you would have to listen to that.
I definitely didn't put it down. But I knew with the 12 days that at least the first 7, it was all birds. Yeah. And there's even a guy saying that, like, the milking maids are like a type of bird. So there's all this thing into birds, and I'm like, there's been one of the things that I got to study while I was in college, which was really interesting, because anthropology and, like, human civilizations, that's part of the psychology study, is how we took nursery rhymes and we sing them, but we don't know the true purpose of them. Sort of like Ring Around the Posies, Ring Around the Rosies, Pocket Full of Posies, Ashes, Ashes, We All Fall Down, is about the plague, and how. Did you know that?
Really? No.
Yes, it is a plague song.
Oh my goodness!
Yes.
Are you serious?
Ring Around the Rosies is the rash you would get. Pocket Full of Posies is so you couldn't smell the dead. Ashes, Ashes, We All Fall. And it wasn't We All Fall Down, it was We All Fall Dead. Yes. Yeah, that is a plague song. So being able to hear some of the original nursery rhymes for back in the day that were, again, we did things like this culturally back in the day and even today to give what we're doing significance, to help us remember things, the rhyming, the songs, the stories, all of that added. That is what culture is. It's our songs, our stories, our written history, our spoken history, the things that we do traditionally as families. That is what culture is. So when you are creating your own practices, you are creating your own mini witch culture. And whether you spread that to 1 million people, or it's only in your house, like under, your candle in your mirror in your small altar, it is what it is. It's still your practice. That is a culture being built for you. So with these rhymes and the songs and the things and the, even the theoretical stuff that's like, we can't prove that. That was said, but, like, where is their proof? Shit wasn't written down a long time ago, and paper wasn't free. So,
and not only that, but I mean, literacy, literacy or illiteracy. I mean, only wealthy people knew how to read.
True,
and definitely not write.
No, writing was that was contained, to say the least. So we do look at how we can blend, and what I think is funny. So my next little headline, it says Christianization blended traditions. That is hard for me to say. Christianization blended traditions. I love that I wrote that and can't even say it. What's interesting about that is in the way that it worked before, right? So Jesus was born like
in the time before
2,000 years ago, right? So when Jesus was born and Christianity was born 600 years after that, and they really fought for it, and then the Romans fell, and you got all these different things, of cultures and religions and fighting and dropping and gaining and gods and goddesses and powers that be and all of that, all these things that have happened over all of these thousands of years for so long, is that when one thing that's popular is leaving the culture that's coming in and absorbing the culture that is being sort of extinguished. That's a terrible way to say it, but it's true. They, in order to make the masses kind of like go along with, let's just get rid of all your goddesses and look at all these saints over here that do the same thing and they're just as great and they're ordained by God, like the one. I imagine the way that, you know, Christianity sort of came in and, you know, exterminated goddesses and put male saints inside of everything. That's what I'm speaking about. With that, there had to be a blending period where you had to have a tit for tat. So thinking of Imbolc coming up, Saint Bridget. So there was actually Bridget the goddess. So there's the Christian version of that, and then there's the old way goddess of that. And it was so blended that even the Celtic cross, which is a Christian cross but with the circle, the circle is the sign for the sun, and then the Christian cross. So it had to blend two things together in order to get the people to go along with the things, right? It had to meld. And so that's where I think about. And
then once it melded, they eventually
kind of cut that out, right?
Yeah,
got more people into this.
Because the goal was to get rid of the old ways and
exterminate it eventually.
To have people believing that there was only the saints and there was only just one God, and I mean that was the ultimate goal.
It took time, and the church knew that. And they were dedicated.
Took time and a lot of death is what it took, because they killed people that eventually throughout history.
They did.
They killed people that had different beliefs.
And then so they didn't just like all at once come in and be like, no more of this, all of this. Unless you're speaking about how Europeans came over to America, then it was like, there's absolutely none of what you're doing. There's everything about what we're doing. But that's a good course. World History X, good course. If you can find it anywhere, it's a great course. But when we think about just like sort of trying to absorb a community while putting the beliefs on it, there was this reorganization of the beliefs and then made to believe that it was like, but look, that matches that, and this could be the same thing, and let's just celebrate together until 10 years later.
Look how cute it is.
Look, we match. So what I think about, the whole point of this, that was a tangent, geez. The whole point of this was when the Christianization of old beliefs came in, things got absorbed, and then pagan stuff became more Christianized or put in that light. Guess what's happening today? Today, there are more things happening where we're looking at Christian shit and we're going, we could make that witchy. We could do that witchy. So that's where I was going with that.
How about we look at it and say, that's witchy. Hello, Catholic traditions. I mean,
we can't deny the underpinnings of these things.
I mean, I was raised Catholic, and we were there with the body and blood of Jesus Christ. And,
I already told you. Listen, I sat in last year. What was I at? Episcopal. Okay, so I was at an Episcopal church. My mother-in-law had broke her back. I went in to make, she couldn't walk on her own, so I went in to get her. Like, I took her into her seat, and then when she was done, like, I go in and get her and bring her out. Church wasn't done yet, so I just had to sit there. Well, I came in at a very pivotal point. I was there for almost 30 minutes. It runs way too long. Church is long and quiet, and I don't like it. They got to the point where they were having everybody have the blood of Jesus and the body of Jesus. I think that's what they say.
Body and blood of Jesus Christ. Yeah,
so
the wafer and
they offered me the cup
and the little
the cup that everybody had just drank out of. Okay, so I was like,
oh, they didn't give you your individual.
No. If you wanted an individual one, you had to go up to like the I was going to say the altar, whatever they do when they kneel in front. I don't know what that's called. There's little step things, and it's like a padded kneeling place.
Yeah, I don't know what it, I can't think of if it has a name, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's like the front altar where they preach from, but I don't know what that's called. So.
I don't know what it's called.
Anyway, so the people up there got little mini plastic cups, but there was the guy, with all the robes and everything, kind of looked like this right here, this robe a little bit. He came around to all the people that were sitting who couldn't go up to the kneeling place, and then he offered everybody. And I watched him come around. I was like, oh my God, I'm about to deny the blood of Christ and the body of Christ, and like in front of all the church people, in front of my mother-in-law. And I was like, but I'm not going to do it. So what was really interesting is to say no to that. And he's looking at me, holding it, like so kind. He looks so kind. He looks like a sweet older man. Great guy. Looks like a great guy. And he's holding the cup and he's like, the blood of Christ, child. And I was like, no. He's like, and he's just looking at me. The cup is still sort of leaned forward like, I'm sorry, what? No, what did you say? Like, I know he just looked at me, and then the next person came with the body of Christ, and I was like, no. And And my mother-in-law had no problem with doing any of the things, and she didn't have any problem with me saying no and doing nothing there. Like, there was no judgment, I don't think. And even, I don't think that the people, when I said no, judged me. I just think that they were really shocked, like, why are you here, child? What are you doing in our seat if you don't want the blood and the body of Christ? I was like,
yeah,
I can't explain it
sacrament.
to you. Yeah.
They
do it every Sunday.
Every Sunday.
So I've never seen anything, like, I've been a witch a long time. I've never done anything so, what I would consider, like, I don't want to call it demonic because that seems really rude and offensive. It's not that, but it's like what people think witches do, where they're like drinking blood or sacrificing things or the words. That was my thought, as I was like, wow, if you guys just saw me at my fire pit, like burning paper, and that's what I do as a witch, but this is a whole nother thing. It was just a different thing.
Yeah.
So we got on that whole story because the way that we absorb and move and flow culturally through things, not always in a correct way, not always in a good way, usually in a probably a bad way. But witchcraft now having this comeback and absorbing things where we're like, we're just going to take that, thank you very much, and we're going to make it our own and we're going to do what the fuck we want with it. I love that. That was the whole point to the Christianization blended traditions that I can't say. It's bad.
All right.
Yeah. So the very last thing. I have like one last point.
Modern pagan and witchcraft revival.
Which is what I was just talking about.
Which is what we've been talking about for at least 10 minutes.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, is that we have a choice to take whatever we see in our environment and do with it what we want, and we don't have to answer to anybody about it. I mean, obviously, and don't hurt people and children and animals.
That's one of the problems that some people in our society have with it, is that we don't have to answer to them.
We don't answer to anybody. It's what scares them the most.
Yeah, it scares them because they think we're really actually like hexing and, able to, control the weather or just ridiculous things like that, when it's like, no, I'm just manifesting my dreams. That's all.
I mean,
I'm just thinking about the life that I want, and I'm going to think about it and bring it into existence and light candles and do spells and release things that I don't want by writing them on pieces of paper and burning them. And
I'm going to gather with other like-minded women, and we might sing, dance, shout, burn shit, cry, beat pillows. Like, we might do all the things.
Dance around under the moonlight and, a bonfire. And and they're like freaked out by that because
we don't answer to anybody.
Well, we don't answer to them, and they don't understand it. So if they came into our world and like actually would take the time to understand it, they would be like, wow, that feels familiar.
Mm-hmm. But they don't have anybody telling them to do it. See, this is how witches can get, this is where witchcraft gets complicated for people coming in that are new. You're looking to somebody to tell you what to do, because in all parts of our life, we have parents, we have school, we have professors, we have elders, we always have people telling us what to do.
Society telling us what to do.
Everywhere you go, there's sort of this like safe knowing of like what I'm allowed to do and what I'm not allowed to do. Okay, so here's what I can go to jail for, and here's
what are the rules.
Exactly. Yeah. Witchcraft doesn't have rules, and that is where people start to get worried, afraid. It's where they back off. They're like, I don't know, can I do that? Yeah,
am I allowed to buy my own tarot cards? Because I read that you're not allowed to buy your own tarot cards.
So when we get caught up in absorbing that modern thing where everything needs to have rules around it, or we need to have permission from somebody else, or like we need to have somebody who's been in the practice for longer tell us, yes, this is okay.
We need a high priestess
don't do that.
To tell us what to do.
Right. And people trying to gain, I definitely do have a negative outlook on people who are, when they get into witchcraft and they're really trying to seek a position, they're like, I want to be a high priestess one day. Okay, well, what does that mean for you? Like, so you want to get in and gain what? Authority, control, for me, that's the opposite of what witchcraft is. When I gather with all of my witches, I want to hear everything that they're doing on their own, that nobody's told them to do. They're not following any structure. They're not like, I reached level 3 and the blah, 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 blah. I'm no longer a zygote. Whatever. That's a real thing, zygote. Yeah. It's just that we're allowed to be in control of ourselves, and we don't need permission from anybody. So that is the beautiful part for me, and why witchcraft is so attractive in my eyes, in my life, is that I don't have to answer to anybody for the things that I want to do, manifest, spell work, flowers I might want to grow, crystals I might want to own, tarot cards I want to read, oracle things I want to do, and stuff that I want to ask the universe for. Like, there is no limit to what I can have, do, be, say, create. And in other worlds, there's like, nope, there's only time for that. Oh, you can't do that yet because you're not this level. Oh, wait, you can't do, you still owe this person this. You're still sort of in a servant mode to the people who have been here longer. I'm like, well, I could fucking join a club for that. Why would I want to do that? I want to be at my level wherever I'm at.
I think the other thing that is in the non-witchcraft world, most people, except for the atheist or some other religions, they believe in a God, a singular God that is like this almighty, all-seeing.
It's hierarchy. It's the highest one you can get to.
Yeah, the hierarchy, right?
The hierarchy,
that you're to answer to Him. You're answering to Him, and the rules are like you can and can't do this, like the 10 Commandments or whatever they are. And there's not. In the witchcraft world, there isn't like a God. There isn't like a God sitting up in the clouds on a chair that's going to judge you at the end of your life. So, and they have a problem with that because it's about control too.
It's about control.
Because they can't control you. If you don't believe that there's this God, then you're going to go to hell if you don't do these things. Then they're like, well, shit,
what can I tell them to control them?
Yeah, what can I tell you to make you do the things that I want you to do, to adhere to these rules and, this lifestyle and stuff. So, that's the other problem they have. That's why they use, I believe that's why they say pagan in a negative, with a negative connotation.
Right.
Pagan,
or witch.
You pagan, or witches even.
It's used negatively because they don't understand what true freedom looks like. They feel like they need permission, possibly. And I'm saying all of that. They. I don't know what they think. I've never asked them. Most of them are like, I just hope I'm doing the right thing. I've definitely asked Christians about what they believe in the afterlife, and I've tried to actually open some minds as far as like, well, do you really think that like your loved one, when you get on the other side, they're not going to know you? Like, do you think that when you die or that when other people die who don't know of Jesus, that they go to this like limbo place? Like, is that really fair? I mean, so I've tried to sort of have some of these conversations in the best light that I can, very easygoing, never judgmental, but it's because they're raised with it, because it's been their culture, because they don't know anything else, and it doesn't feel safe to go, I'm in charge of myself and I'm responsible for everything I do, and who do I answer to at the end of my life? I answer to me. That doesn't feel good enough. That doesn't feel like the right thing, because everything in our world right now projects this hierarchy of there's always somebody to answer to. There's always somebody to tell us what to do. There's somebody keeping the rules. There's somebody keeping us straight. There's somebody doing this. And for normal people, we need that, right? We want the people who are out there doing crimes and fucked up shit to be able to get punished. We do want rules in societies to keep things in order. We need order within societies. I just don't think we need that kind of order within our spiritual beliefs.
Spiritual, yeah.
I think that's where you should be able to have a relationship with any god, goddess, spiritual evolution, animal, whatever, without somebody giving you permission to do so.
Yeah.
Or telling you that, nope, that's not the way you do it, you're wrong. Yeah, that's what witchcraft is. Yep. And this all came about because I saw this thing on the 12 Nights of Yule, and I was like, what the hell is this new fad thing? Whenever I see the fads, I don't know, I just have to jump into them, because I'm like, if I was a new witch right now, what would I feel? It's like every year there's something new that I have to try to get a grasp on. And I guess probably, I know this is supposed to be the Yule celebration, and I hope you guys are celebrating Yule and the return of the light, and you're looking forward to it. And I would say, if you're going to do one thing, and I know I already talked about this before, I think, is on Yule, on December 21st, 22nd, or 20th, whatever day, at noon, go outside and take a picture of your long shadow. So one of those 3 days, as long as the sun is out of some kind, take a picture of your long shadow. That is my favorite thing to do for Yule, for me, is I find some place that I can go back to at midsummer when my shadow is literally under my feet at noon. And there's like no shadow. And I love that, the visuals of that. That's what I love. So now, like, I don't have a big to-do list and how to celebrate and things you should do. There's already so much of that out there. I think what's more important is just to consider, like, why you're celebrating it, what it means for you. Give it meaning. Don't just do the things that we see online. Don't just read the books and go like, oh, this is what we're supposed to do. Think of things that are really meaningful for you. I know with Kat and I being in Florida, it's a lot harder to do anything in the winter season that connects with what all of our witches are doing up north, because we don't have snow. It's not super cold. The trees are not the same. We don't have the fall.
Yeah, it's just, it's sometimes it makes me miss the snow of Kansas City, living there for all of those years and having that, and it really feeling like Christmas, because you do have snow on it. We always white Christmas and all of that.
Yeah.
And here it's strange, although it is cold now. So, we're wearing more clothes and, tights and things like that. So it's like,
our AC is not set low. We can open our windows and feel outside. We're not getting in the, water as much or the pools. But I mean, for us, it's, I think that it's even more of a challenge for us to celebrate the solstice, the winter solstice, in our own way, because we don't have all of the physical reminders that people up north might have.
It's interesting that you say that, because I feel like this year is the very first year that I really noticed that a lot of things in our world and our environment are dead.
Yeah.
Right?
They're not flowering. They're not
green. They're brown, which I'm like, have they always been like that? And I just never noticed it before. This year, for whatever reason, it's very I'm like, what? And it's probably because in my backyard, I've been growing a lot of things. And so this is the first year where I'm seeing all these big, and I told Jayme, I was like, do I need to cut those back? She's like, no, leave them there. This is what they're there. This is what happens. The bugs and things need them. The insects and stuff use them. They do, they're all there for
hibernate. I mean, I know we're not super cold down here, but the bees still go in the ground. They still come out in spring. They need the tubes to go into.
And I think you said that about your own yard, that you're really noticing this year, because all of a sudden, because Jamie's been working on her yard for
4 years.
4 years, and now it's this huge butterfly bee sanctuary, basically, or habitat, I guess is what they call it.
Sure.
She got certified to be a
wildlife sanctuary.
Certified habitat.
Certified wildlife.
Yeah, anyway, she went up to Tampa and took a class all day, and then came home with a sign for her yard that says I'm certified. And she's grown all this stuff, and so now it's not flowering. Some of it's probably bare.
There's not a lot of leaves on some stuff. I'm like, whoa, you're not bushy anymore, buddy. What's happening?
And it's really strange. It's like now you see it and you're like, oh.
Yep.
You can tell, and I
now you're noticing winter.
Now, and even at the park where I take Tank to run and play, the grass is brown. I was like, this year for some reason it's really.
You're just more aware. That's all.
I guess I'm just more aware.
And I think that's a beautiful thing to do. If you don't do anything else, and if you're new, and maybe if you've already done all the things, you're like, fuck it, I need a slow, easy year. Just go out and notice what's happening at this change of seasons. So the solstice marks the actual beginning of the winter season. And my goal, I have a big goal, because it's going to require time and attention, but I really want to, over the next year, record the seasons in my yard. What flowers well? When do the seeds come for this? When do I see the carpenter bees and the bumblebees? I have honeybees around all the time. They can last all year long. They live in a hive. They've got honey. The honeybees, which are actually invasive because they're European honeybees, they thrive all year round. But the native bees, all of the bees that live in the ground, 70% of our bees in Florida live in the ground, 70% of the bees in the U.S. live in the ground. And they need that winter grounding time, because they go in and lay the eggs, and then those pupa have time to eat and grow, and they'll emerge in the spring. So you're not going to see the shiny butt carpenter bees, right? They have the shiny black butts, and then the big fuzzy bumblebees,
Oh my God.
But I still have tons of butterflies. I have moths, so I have other things, but bees are really an indicator of
what the season is.
How the season is changing, because they just don't live that long. Bees typically only live 30 days. It's very sad if you think about it.
Oh.
They don't have a long life. But being able to record my yard over the next year, starting from the solstice, which is also a really good thing. I thought about this. When do you consider, if you, as a witch, is a star the beginning of spring? Is that where, if you had a new year, if you had a start of a year? Because I know we say Samhain, right? That's the witch's new year.
Right.
But that's not even a mark and turning of the seasons. That's an in-between holiday.
Right, yeah.
So would winter be the first season because everything is growing from the ground and growing up? Where does it start for us? It's such an interesting question, and you don't have to answer, but I think winter is a great, if there was a bullet point
a starting point,
I think winter would be it. And so that's where I'm starting my nature journal for my yard.
That makes sense to me only because then fall would be the ending, and it feels
fall is the ending,
and it feels like that feels
right.
Yeah, that feels right.
Yeah.
So
So if you've got winter as your very beginning place, start to notice where everything starts from. So you'll have bare sticks, bare trees, the ground is bare, nothing's out, nothing's really fluttering, there's not a lot of life, it's just earth, which today I just learned that, I probably knew this before, but I just relearned it today, that winter is associated with the earth element. And I would have definitely thought like water, or I don't know, just because snow and rain,
Yeah.
I don't know. But winter is the earth element, and so when you consider that this is just a focus on what the earth is doing, go out and like take notes of that. That's just a super green witch way probably to interpret the holiday, and that's my intent. Is that as December, I know I see your lights moving.
Why are my lights swinging like that?
Well, hopefully there's wind or there's an owl out there.
I hope there's either
there's something going on in the backyard.
A string of lights across my goddess circle in the backyard that I can see from here, and they're doing this.
It's really swinging.
Like what?
Something must have jumped on it, like a bird.
Okay.
There's night birds here.
Okay,
you know.
all right.
I need to have you put up
Has
the
to be.
screech owl house.
Has to be because those things don't move like that. And
Well,
we don't have
unless
that
there's
much
wind. Because I can see the other side. It looks like it's moving too.
All right, sorry. We got
Squirrel. So I think in short with this whole Yule celebration and season is to really find what's right for you. Dig into things that you see and find out, does that fit with me? You know, me seeing the 12 Nights of Yule, I was like, what the hell? And it's not that I don't agree with it. There's substance to it. There's things that we can do. There's a way to honor that idea that somebody has put forth in the world, and now the witches are all seeing it. But make sure that it fits with you, or adapt it to fit to you, or leave it totally behind and just do like your own thing. But as we create traditions, as we get older and we keep wanting to do the same things over and over again, or maybe we never create a tradition, our tradition is to do something different every year, also okay?
Yeah.
It's just how you spend the solstice. I want to almost say contemplating, like this is the turn of the season. This is a week before the new year, which is more celebrated because of the calendar year, but this is our beginning. This is our, paragraph one.
This is when the days start getting longer.
Yeah, this is where we start to grow in light and to plan for the next seasons to get things going,
Which is really strange when you think about that this is where the days start getting longer, considering that it's the first day of winter. That seems like
an oxymoron.
Yeah, exactly.
It does. It totally seems like an oxymoron.
It does.
Because my science brain is always like, okay, wait, how are we going to go into winter when we're finally getting the sun back? But it's like, when you get into cold water, so it's that plunge, and you get out and you got to get warm. So I think about it sort of like that, where you got really cold because the light was dimming, and so the earth is kind of like, oh, I'm fucking done. Okay, I'm just done. I'll just rest then. Okay, we have no light. And then it's like, I'm going to wait for you to warm me back up before I start doing anything again, because I'm just sitting here freezing, and I need my winter coat on, and I'm like waiting for more light before I can warm back up. Because I think the fall stays kind of warm because we had the heat of the summer just warming up the earth.
Yeah.
And that heat lasts for a while through winter.
Yeah.
But then the light is dim for so long, the earth is finally like, yeah, it's fucking cold, man. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to do nothing. Nope, y'all can play. I'm going to just do nothing. But this is also, the last goddess we talked about was the Kaliak.
Mm-hmm.
She is definitely the goddess of winter and storms. Mm-hmm. Like, I've been reading more about her with Hagitude.
Yeah.
And she's the goddess of winter and storms. So if you're feeling like you need a goddess to help you understand winter, which then I have something, she goes into Imbolc. She gives up winter. And that's the whole, Imbolc, the groundhog seeing, hedgehog, what is he? Groundhog?
Groundhog.
Seeing his shadow or not?
Yeah.
If the Kaliak is tired for Imbolc, she goes out to gather wood, and if she's tired, she's like, yeah, I can't. I'm just tired. So then she doesn't see her shadow. There's not enough light to see her shadow, and that means spring is coming. So she gives over the responsibilities to the goddess of spring. Okay. And I was like, that's so cool. So as I'm learning some new goddesses, I'm seeing the transitions too, and I just love putting names to them. Also a great thing to do during winter is to research, do all your introverted stuff. So that is our show for tonight. I don't know if I've ever said it quite like that. That concludes our show for tonight.
That includes the 12 Nights of Yule.
Yeah, and all the other shit we talked about with that. But Make your witchcraft practice what you want it to be. There are no rules and there's nobody to answer to. There's no witch police coming to knock on your door and, fine you or give you a ticket. It's just whatever you want to do that is meaningful for you and helps you grow. Hopefully you keep it in that direction. I think as a practice, witchcraft practice is meant to grow us, to help us move forward, to become something better than we were. So that is my wish for you guys for this Yule season, is to explore yourself and become the next version, the better version, whatever that is.
All right, witches, and with that, we will let you go until the next podcast.
All right, we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.